are just getting things started. My tech guy, my oldest son right here, is getting all of our platforms figured out. I'm looking at 3 devices here. We have Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. So it's kind of weird. I like see myself 3 times looking at myself. So anyway, we're gonna get started. Thank you so much for hopping on tonight. I have you for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna jam pack with information. So I promise to make it worth your time. So just wanted to get started in case you don't know who I am and you've had this video shared. My name is Bridget Ryan. I am a mom of 8. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. If I need you, I'll yell for you. But I'm a mom of 8. Like I said, that's my oldest. He'll be 21 next month. And my youngest is 11 months, all ages in between, all grades in between. I've been homeschooling for 15 years, and I have about 19 more years to go. So always learning. Back when we first started, we didn't have apps. A lot has changed throughout the years. But I just wanted to kind of come on here and share some resources. So because the world is changing, because things are changing with homeschooling and schools, a lot of you have been thrown into homeschooling or you don't know what to do and you're kind of going, okay, so I've been getting flooded with messages and I just didn't know a better way to do it than to do some workshops. So I gathered some mentors and people that I highly look up to, people that I've learned from, and I asked them if they'd be willing to hop on my workshops with me so that you're not just hearing from me, that you're hearing from them. Veterans in the homeschool movement that were pioneers, that paved the way for the rest of us that have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. We're going to hear from some of them. But today, you just get me. I'm so sorry. But I promise to give you some information, so get your notes ready. We're going to go over some frequent asked questions. We're going to go over resources that I took to get started. And I'll be giving you lots of websites and links. And then I will also come back and post those. So if you don't get the right spelling or whatever, I will put those in all 3 places: Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, I'm always learning. I'm a student of life, and just kind of want to back up a minute so you know my story. I hated school growing up. So the fact that I'm homeschooling my own kids is very weird. I just didn't think I liked learning, but homeschool gave me the gift of the love of learning. Teaching my kids, I got to learn again, and that has been one of the biggest blessings because I love to research, I love to learn, and I wasn't taught that. My husband and I did not want to homeschool our kids when we first got married, and we didn't want to have a lot of kids when we got married, but here we are, right? You never know, and sometimes life takes unexpected twists and turns, and you catch yourself doing things you thought you might never do. So my husband said, well, you can try it for a year, and I thought, okay, I'll try it for a year, and I did what I only knew to do, and that was to public school at home. We basically set up a classroom. They came in, they stood up and did the Pledge of Allegiance. I wrote the assignment on the chalkboard behind me. I graded their papers. I had them turn them in the basket, and I put stars and little stamps on their papers, and we were all miserable. Everybody was miserable because it's really hard to implement the classroom into a home setting. So we quickly kind of threw that aside, and I became a student of my children. I started studying them and what made them tick and what made them want to, what would catch their interest. And so that's when I decided to do more of a life learning, unschooling, Charlotte Mason style. And I started learning about these different philosophies of learning and going, wait a second, so it doesn't have to be just taught this way, the only way I knew how. There's actually different ways you can learn, and every child is different, and my children are all very different. So I do all different types of learning for different children, but I've also found a way to combine that into a kind of like unit studies, which I'm gonna go over here in a minute too. So I've done it all. I've, studied it all, and here I'm kind of in a unique situation because I have graduated 2 children, and so now I can ask them, what could I have done differently, or what could I do better? Because now here I am starting over, right? I have a little boy that's about to start kindergarten. I have, my 11-month-old that's going to be going through preschool, and I can say, what can I do differently? What did you like? What did you dislike? And then they can tell me what they remember, and I can remember to make sure I do those things. So, I have made all the mistakes and I've learned from them, and kind of wish I would have known things before, kind of that what you wish you would have known before you got started. And one of that is, people ask me, the biggest question they ask is, what curriculum do you use? And that's such a broad question. I feel like it's a loaded question because I can't just give you, we use, Spelling Power and we use Abeka and we use this, because you have to kind of take a step back and ask yourself, well, what is learning? What do I want to teach my children? And what do they want to learn? What's the best way they learn how to learn? Is this one more hands-on? Is this one a visual learner? Is this one can't sit still and needs to go outside and learn? There's different types, right? And so kind of ask yourself that, and don't just jump in and buy all the curriculum and then go, wait, I don't use that. I'm not going to use that. That's not us. So I would say, if you're new to homeschooling, study your kids first, ask them questions, and have a vision. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So I have you for 30 minutes, like I said, and I have rambled here for a while. So we're going to get going. Like I said, there's so much information, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed or overthink it. The best way to become a teacher is to dive in and teach. So let's dive in. It's such a special time in history, and I believe it's such a time as this. As nervous as I am right now to talk to you guys, I really have just, my heart's beating, and I felt like I need to come on. I did not want to homeschool, and I stepped out of my comfort zone and homeschooled. I've done things in my life that I would have never gone into public speaking. God pushed me out of my comfort zone to public speak. He pushed me to do this too. So here I am, shaky and all. I'm just a mama, guys, just like you. And I believe children are the future. And I believe the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I feel like it's a time to take back our families, and it's a time to raise up leaders, and it's a time to take back our land through this homeschool movement, okay? So I don't know if you guys know, but 48% of public schoolers in the state of California, is where I live, have pulled their children out and are now homeschooling. Newsom defunded, wrote some bills, defunded the charter school funding. So now, just to let you know, we are private homeschool. We do not go through the charter school. We do not get funding. I have homeschooled when we had zero money. And I have homeschooled when we've had some money. And so I've been able to learn all different types of homeschool. And I'm going to talk about budget homeschooling and free homeschooling and ways you can do that, as well as extreme homeschooling that some of you on here are interested in as well. So I also believe that we need to teach our children what to believe and why they believe it. Apologetics is huge to me, especially right now with nobody knows what's going on and they don't know why they know and what they believe, but that's a whole nother workshop. So tonight is basically helping you fill your teacher toolbox. So we're going to be putting stuff in your toolbox that you can bring out and use in your journey and your adventure of homeschooling, okay? So and we will meet back on the 28th for our next workshop. But like I said, it's just me today, but future workshops will have amazing speakers. I'm in touch with one of them who's going to be coming on next week is Michael Ferris, who is the Homeschool Legal Defense Founder Association. He is an American lawyer and the founder of Patrick Henry College. He knows what he's talking about. He's a pioneer and has homeschooled his large family. And I don't know about you guys, but anytime I see a family that has great kids or has done something great, has a great marriage or is successful in life, I like to study them. I like to study their habits. I like to study what they, what they do and how is their marriage great and how are they successful and how did their kids turn out okay, right? You kind of want to see what they do. And I got the chance to meet Pam Tebow, and I, of course, cornered her and was like, so how did you get your son to turn out so great? Tell me all the things. You homeschooled him. He turned out, not awkward or nerdy. He was able to play sports. And she said the biggest thing I could tell you is make sure you write scripture on their hearts so that they can take it with them wherever God puts them. And so we started playing scripture. So that's one thing. We wake up in the morning and we put on Hidden in My Heart scripture memory verse. So get your notepad out because I'm going to be talking fast and take notes. Again, I said I would post this stuff in a scripting for you guys later, but scripting in your heart memory verse. So we do a lot of audio and memory. So, okay, let's start with frequent asked questions. But I want to tell you guys, you will have doubts. And some of you listening right now is like, okay, I'm already overwhelmed, Bridget. It's normal to doubt yourself. In fact, getting on here, I was already doubting myself, thinking, what do I have to offer? I don't know. I'm not that good at what I do. I mess up all the time, but we can, and you can too. So is it legal? Yes, it's legal in all 50 states. Go to hslda.org and you can find out what your state regulations are, what curriculum. I'm going to touch on some of that I have used in the past, but also, like I said, figure out your why, your family vision statement, right? Big corporations have vision statements. Run your family is like your own little business. What vision statement does your family have? And I believe without a vision, the people perish. So if we don't have a reason to why we're sending our kids to school or where they're going or why they're going or what they're going to do and why they're doing it, we're just kind of surviving, right? If we want to be world changers, it starts with us. So ask your children what they want to learn and what ways they learn best. My favorite when I started was honestly box curriculum. Anything easy. I had a lot of little ones and I didn't have time. So box curriculum was mine. My go-to was my Father's World, mfwbooks.com. Then I got braver and I could tailor make my own curriculum for each children. But remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Grace covers it all. So I've been getting asked, can I work full time? A lot of you have been put in different situations where you're either now working full time or you're not working. Dynamics of the family home are already hard with everything going on. How are you going to add homeschool in? I want to let you know that through the last 15 years of homeschooling, we've gone through a lot in different seasons of homeschooling, and I've been able to walk journeys with other people with illnesses, moms getting sick, moms, dads, grandparents, homeschooling in different ways, moms working night shifts, dads working, and just kind of working together. I've seen great homeschool dads. I see one on right now. Homeschool moms, grandparents taking over, which is a huge blessing too. And so basically I've seen many different homeschool circumstances, even though it's harder. You could do creative juggling and thoughtful problem solving and support. A lot of churches offer support in this as well, co-ops and things like that, which we'll get into. But I'm also going to talk about independent learning styles. So I've had a lot of babies throughout the years of homeschooling, and sometimes mom has to focus on something else instead of focusing on multiplication or what have you, and that is when independent learning styles are great. So like I said, you don't want to just pick one curriculum and stick to it. You got to have things in your toolbox that you can pick out for different seasons of your life, because homeschooling is life. Testing, again, depends on your state. I, for one, used to do testing when I first started just to kind of let me know where my kids were and where they may be falling behind in some, but kids are different. I've had them test very high in some subjects and a little lower, and so I know where I could focus next. College, yes, absolutely. College often loves homeschoolers because they are out-of-the-box thinkers and they are problem solvers. And so transcripts, templates can be found at hslda.org. That's going to be a great site for you to check out. And yeah, I mean, ACT testing, I know for us, when Faith was looking at going to the University of Arkansas, she got a tutor for taking her ACT test. So really, that is it. And again, there's lots of books, and I'm going to give you some sites. So if you're at that point where your child is graduating, or sorry about that. Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty of resources. Get your notes ready, and again, these are not paid reviews. Somebody asked me if I was doing that. These are honest. These are resources that I have used, and they are my go-tos, basically. So, oh yes, if you are a seasoned homeschool mom that is watching today, and I don't mention a great resource that you love, please feel free to put it in the comments. We are all in this together, and I know that we are all here to help. Homeschooling for me, when I started, I didn't know anybody who homeschooled. I felt very alone, but quickly got plugged in and swooped up by amazing women who poured into me and mentors, and I felt like family. And so you're going to see that within homeschooling. We really do care about each other, care about each other's children, and want to make the most because we see the bigger picture in the movement, okay? So curriculum guidelines. First, there's different ways to start. You could go through charter if you're new, especially in California. Right now, they're not accepting. We do independent. You just basically file a PSA, which is a private school affidavit. Again, HSLDA. You could check out CHEA, CHEA. Again, I'll post this. So Time for Learning with the number 4, timeforlearning.com. Look up your state, and you can scroll down and kind of see the best way to go about getting started in your state. I've homeschooled in a lot of different states, so there's really not one that I found too hard. As we traveled around, I pretty much looked up a lot of the states or a lot of the rules and regulations in the different states. So most people go through the charter for the funding, but don't let that discourage you right now. I personally like to have the freedom, and especially if you're in the state of California with the medical exemptions and things being taken away, it is nice to kind of not have to worry about that. Check co-ops and umbrella schools for additional support. So one of the first books that helped me with different grades, because I jumped in and had a bunch of different grades, was Home Learning Year by Year by Rebecca Rupp, and that was by grade. So yeah, let's see. You guys hanging in there. This is the longest live I've ever done, but I promise you I'll make it worth your time. So a day in the life. What do? We get up and we do a lot of character training. Sometimes that's all we do, especially in the early years. In the little years of character training and home discipleship. Because if we miss this, your home is a mess, and it's very hard to get them to sit and learn. Now, don't be discouraged if you're starting, in the older grades now and you really didn't have that. That's okay. We can relearn and reconnect your family. So again, don't try to do public school at home. It'll make everyone miserable. And so what we do, basically everyone goes, Bridget, how do you run your day? Every day is different. You would have to move in with us because life is learning, and all day we are learning. It's kind of a mindset that you have to adapt with. That it's not just school hour, and you kind of have to de-school yourself if you were in the public school system because of the way we were taught to learn from 8 to 3 and recesses and things like that. That's not how it always works, okay? So we have jurisdictions and chores and reading aloud and quiet time. We do stations. We do partners, and we do field trips. and the older ones teach the younger ones sometime, and then we do a lot of unit studies together, so it cuts off time, so I'm not teaching each child individually. Example of what this might look like, again, seasons of homeschooling, and right now we do Monday is very light. It's basically videos, which we're going to talk about DVDs and videos that I use, workbooks. We have bags that are on the go schooling, and they grab those, and those are great for errands. They're filled with workbooks, which I will give you that in a minute too. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are like work days. And then Fridays we're left for field trips and things like that. We are in COVID, so things have changed, and we school differently as well. Okay, so every year looks different, especially the years with new babies and life, just life when life happens, right? But teach your children along the way and make it a way of life. Okay, let's talk about character building because it's one of my favorites. So Betsy Schmidt devotions, it's sticky situations. What was that? Okay, so when my kids were little, and now with the little ones coming in, we would do these devotions that we would do like a sticky situation, and the kids would go, sticky, sticky, sticky situations. It was so funny because these are such great memories, and it's something that the older ones will do, like anytime there's like something going on, they go like this. Anyway, we say a devotion of something, and we say, what would you do in this case? So that's character building. And I will give that resource here in a minute. Adventures in Odyssey, that is a focus on the family. Family.org, we listen to these things in the car. We do Rolling University. Our car is always a place of learning because we are always on the go and we don't want to waste time. So Advanced Training Institute International, that is ATII.org. That is a great site for character building. CharacterFirstEducation.com, doorposts.net. That's doorposts.net. Spend some time on this site, you guys. There is amazing resources there for character building. I love Polished Cornerstone for girls and Plants Grow Up for boys. I spend a lot of time with character building with my children. And then one of my favorite pioneers who will hopefully be coming on to speak with us, we're waiting to hear if his schedule is free, and he is the Boyer family. He's also known as Uncle Rick for you homeschoolers out there. He does great audiobooks, and they started a ministry or curriculum called characterconceptscurriculum.com. And then there's another one that we use a lot of their character books. In fact, our kids have them memorized in a way that if they say something, they'll say, "I'm sorry, Mom, I don't mean to question your authority." Those are words from the character book. So that is iblp.org, character books. Another one that is a great resource for character development is notconsumed.com, notconsumed.com. Again, if you're not knowing what, if you don't have this written down, then I will link all of these. So interest-led learning, unschooling, road schooling, world schooling, we've done it all. So many ways. And like I said, be a student of your child. Find out what makes them tick. Raise a lifelong learner. It's different than just teaching a child to read. We are a nation of illiterates. We know how to read, but we don't. So really, really give your children a love for learning. I'm reading all the comments as I'm doing this, and thank you so much for your encouragement. I really, really appreciate it, you guys, and all your prayers and everything. Thank you. Yes, I will post the links. Okay, so your job is to bring out the best in your children. Okay, so we all learn differently, no right or wrong way. This may take some time. Like I said, I used to do things with Landon that weren't working, and I had to switch him up, and then I would see him thrive in another way. But if I would have given up because I wasn't willing to try new things, that's where, but I'm seeing him fly now, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Your children get it and love it, and the passion in them and that spark. right? To light them on fire. So the way they learn by Cynthia Tobias, actually anything by Cynthia on this subject is fabulous, and I'll link that as well. So Homeschooling Magazines, this is something that I just got my hands on whatever I could when I first started, and I kind of picked and choose what would work for our family, okay? So talk to 3 to 5 moms at homeschool, ask them what their days look like, ask them what they do, ask them their like go-tos, and then kind of see what would work for your family. So I got my hands on anything I could. I asked lots of questions, and I love homeschooltoday.com. You could find their Facebook page and get a free digital issue right now. Practical Homeschooling Magazine, that is Homeslashschoolcom, that has events and camps and groups by site and contests. You guys, homeschooling is not what it used to be. There is so much information out there that you can get overwhelmed. When things open up, go to the conferences. Just amazing. So you go to Homeslashschoolcom and you tap it down, and it says get started links, and then it'll drop down to pre-K, and it'll have a whole tab of things. It'll drop down to elementary, middle school, high school, college prep, special needs. Whatever you need is Homeslashschool.com. There's so many places to order curriculum. I'm not going to really go over all of that today because there is so many. Of course, Amazon, timberdoodle.com, MFW Books, Zamora Family Learning Style, christianbook.com, a lot of online resources. I'm trying to speed this up, guys, sorry. National Home Education Research Institute is NHERI.org. What time am I at? Okay, I might go over a little bit. Okay, so elijahco is ELIJAHCO.com. Is homeschool, is like a homeschool marketplace. I love that site, you guys. Your virtual homeschool is homeschool.com. Just homeschool.com is a great virtual home site. Okay, audio learning, really quick. We do a lot of this because we're on the go. Audiomemory.com is great. It's a great way to memorize states. So when we're driving down the road, the kids would know all their states and capitals because of the memory. Multiplication, right? That's an easy way to memorize. We do the Now Bible. That has been a big hit in our house. When they're doing their jurisdictions, they have their headphones on, and we use this during chores. It's a preloaded digital audio player. So again, Hidden in My Heart is great for scripture memory verse. Bible memory, another way to hide scripture in their hearts is Awana. Some of you already heard of that, but awana.org. And I'll post some other sites for that. But unit studies are my favorite. So what are unit studies? Basically, you take a subject and you can learn anything on that. You can pull spelling words. You can, I mean, there is endless education, and the kids love it. So Amanda Bennett is one of my favorite unit study, but you can go to unitstudy.com. 5inarow.com has been a great one because you can smash a lot of kids into one unit study with 5inarow.com. It addresses creative writing, essay projects, social studies, history, geography, science, vocabulary, career path studies, all of the good things in it. Isn't it crazy that I did not like teaching and learning when I was in school, and now I'm just a big homeschool nerd? Like I love it. So Pinterest is a great, we didn't have Pinterest when I first started homeschooling, but Pinterest has been a great way for me to, if we're going somewhere, then I can pull up the Grand Canyon and pull up a unit study on the Grand Canyon, and we can study all the things Grand Canyon unit study. Konos.com, my dear friend Rossian Salabaher is a writer, curriculum author for OutsideAdventure.com. That's again a family learning style where everybody in the family can do it together, and that creates strong bonds, which is one of my favorite things about homeschooling, is creating those strong bonds. So Get Outside the World is our classroom. Again, deschooling yourself. This is all foreign to me when I first started. I was like, oh, I don't want my kids to grow up weird, and you know, but guys, it is kind of seeing the product of this, and it's beautiful. So So DVDsforschool.com for our busy days where mom just cannot teach, right? We just don't have the time. But we can put on independent learning studies. Abeka.org, my kids didn't like it, but I have a lot of friends, kids who loved it. So, but my kids didn't. Bob Jones, my kids didn't like that either. Ron Paul curriculum, my kids love. They do. Students learn at their own pace. They're self-taught. There's no textbooks. Weird, but they have sources. And what I love about it is students learn how to learn, and you're raising thinkers and researchers. And that's ronpaulcurriculum.com. That is what my kids are doing in this season right now, along with other things as well. Yes, Amblesideonline.com has been one that we use for years and sometimes still learn, and it is free. And a lot of the classical books that go along with Ambleside are free on Kindle. Yay! So that has been very, very helpful in some seasons of our homeschooling. Switch on Schoolhouse. Robinson Self-Teaching is another great one. Again, I'll link these. Independent Learning, Alpha Omega, schooloftomorrow.com. Workbooks, my kids call it boring school, but we still do it because I want them to be well-rounded and have all the different ways to where that if they need to sit in a classroom setting for something, they know how, and they know how to take notes, and if they're going to university, they are well-rounded in all ways of learning. So I put these again in the bags to go bags. So if we're on the go, they can grab at, and that is Learn at Home series workbooks that we do. A lot of you probably use these anyway. And then my super yearbooks for each grade. And we usually get those in the summers to kind of, we school year round because we like the freedom to take off when we want and do what we want. So Easy Peasy Homeschool is another free one. You can teach for free or you can spend a lot, and I've done both and I've loved both. Thank you so much, you guys, for adding in all your resources as well. Let's see, use curriculum, there's homeschool swaps. We used to get together and trade on park days. And there's, again, extreme road schooling. All of that can be done. You can check out Families on the Road, people that homeschool as they travel. We love to read, see, and do, and use all of our senses when learning, and it's just amazing. Yes, I am at my guest house. All my stuff is at the main house, so I don't have those right here with me, but I will do some posts and again link all of this. Okay, so what about academics, Bridget? Homeschooling isn't all fun and games, but yes, we will get to that. Let's talk about art and drama, because if it's not fun, you want to make it fun for your kids, right? You want to create memories. That is so important in homeschooling. It's not just check the list off. Get your work done, check, check, check. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. They will learn. I promise you they'll learn, but the memories won't always be there, okay? That I want to stress. So I wanted my kids to be in drama, and so I created, every year we would do Christmas plays for the elderly, and they loved it, and it was amazing. It was one of my kids' favorite things that they talk about still today. So if somebody's not doing it, you do it. You be that person. Howgreatthouart.com is great. We use that. YouTube, Draw.write.now, it's history. You can check writing, history, and art all at once. Parentchildpress.com. Again, I'm going to kind of go through all of this because I will just post the links later. I do have learning disability links that I will post too. Let's talk about preschool. Only take a second. Slow and Steady, Get Me Ready, June Lander. She gives 10-minute lessons. Again, you don't need a lot. Their attention span is not, you can't expect them to sit down and pay attention. Again, learn through play and say yes to the mess. Charlotte Mason method is what I did a lot with my kids when they were little. Okay. Yes, I will be posting these, so don't worry. I'll get it all for you guys written down in a script. Remember, Pinterest has a lot of great ideas. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Your little ones really just want to be with you. So classical approach, if all else fails, read. Throw the books aside and read. Classicalhomeschool.com. The Well-Trained Mind by Jessie Wise. Reading and Phonics. Sing, Spell, Read, and Write was one of my favorites. Again, I'll link a lot of this. So what we did for creative writing and grammar, every day, it was just a go-to that we'd wake up, they'd do their jurisdictions, copy work, memory, and then journaling and daily lessons. And it was, they could do it themselves, so I could make breakfast or do whatever. And that may take some discipline at first, but once they know what to do when they get up, then it's a lot easier to get the day started. So we usually start with that. Creative writing, journaling, topics, writing prompts, writingstrands.com, dailygrams, easygrammar.com, and then Simply Grammar, Charlotte Mason, a lot of links on grammar. I can put those in the things as well. Thanks for sticking with me, you guys. I could seriously talk all day on this, but I won't. I'll keep it quick. Handwriting, we do a lot of copy work. Like I said, straight out of the Bible, usually. And that keeps them busy. It's great for spelling and writing and printing, and we do handwriting still because we're old school, but I love it and I believe in it. So I know there's teachers watching, so I'm getting a little bit, but I just love handwriting. Anyway, Lwtears.com, learningwithouttears.com is a great one to stick in your toolbox. History, we could spend an hour or more on history because I absolutely love history. We visited all of the history in the United States and Australia, and just a love for learning. And but my kids still talk about today is the drive-through history DVDs. They're great. Just put it on and you can let that teach your kids for a little bit. We did Liberty Kids on YouTube, Beautiful Feet, Story of the World, My Father's World has been great, and The Learning Parent, which again is the Boyer family. Marilyn Boyer writes some great history books. Always learning through literature. Again, read. I know some of your kids might hate reading. Read to them. They will. And even at Lakin's age, at 11 months, I read to him because that is how they learn. The love of learning is when they're sitting on mommy's lap and they just books, picture books, just lots of books. My kids love to read. And I have like Honey for a Child's Heart, the Read Aloud Handbook. There's some books that help you pick, some starter books. Thank you guys. Okay. The Prairie Primer has been fun. We did that for a season. Again, lit-based curriculum. We switch our curriculum up all the time. It's like I have ADD when it comes to curriculum because I get bored and I know my kids are getting bored. So we pretty much touch on everything. But we keep it fun. And math, I'm at about a 3rd grade math level myself. So just to encourage all of you out there. And my kids scored very high on the SAT in math, so it's all good. But there's things for like teaching textbooks that you can get, and they will teach your kids for you. Tutors, chalkdesk.com, 5-minute math dailies, Math You See. You guys, there's so many resources that don't be afraid. And again, you only have to be one day smarter than your kids. So science, I love hands-on science. Answers in Genesis, of course, anything Ken Ham. Jonathan Parks, Apologia. Right now, AIG Answers in Genesis is offering online classes. So those are great. And I've used that all the way from preschool all the way up to college level. I still read those books. So Spelling Power. Sometimes I just print off spelling words off Pinterest, and sometimes I just get it pertaining to our unit study. So a lot of our spelling and vocabulary come from reading. We do language, Rosetta Stone, Learnables, Duolingo, all the apps, YouTube. Anything you want to learn now is on YouTube, right? Your kids, if you can teach them a love for learning, it's endless. So that's your job, is to get them to love learning and then watch them fly. And, you know, I have one child learning French because she wants to go to France, or, you know, they'll just do all the things. Mom support podcasts. I can list a bunch, but I've always gone to sallyclarkson.com. I used to love to go to her workshops, and Vody's my go-to. I'd love to get Vody on. We'll see. But anything, Google Vody, Baucom, Homeschool. He's great on that. But remember, every child is different. Every family is different. And there is no right or way wrong to homeschool. There's something for everyone, but find, even through trial and error, an approach that is right for your family's situation and needs. And that is all my notes for today. Thank you again for joining the first workshop of resources and building your toolbox. And next week you will hear from somebody amazing, and we will dig more in. If you have, again, any specific things that you want to hear about, I will make sure to get a workshop on that. Thank you so much. Bye.